Thank you.
So we're teaching this week, and perhaps a bit after that, we'll see how it goes, to the poisons. Traditionally in Buddhism, there are these three poisons that we're trying to minimize, let's say, that a lot of people would say eradicate, but I think minimize is a more realistic expectation. And we're bringing them up right now because they're on they're blatant. They're on full display in our political arena.
And the three poisons come to us, the teaching kind of in their extreme form. So greed is an extreme of greed, hatred, and delusion or ignorance. So there are all these kinds of things that in their, it's almost like at those extremes, they're at their most harmful. And we might be able to see them in a continuum, and we'll bring in some of that maybe later in the week. But we're really talking about what it feels like to see these full form, full screen now in ways that maybe we haven't seen so blatantly before. And we feel them very strongly too.
And we not only have we not seen them so blatantly, but they seem to be acceptable to I don't know whom, not to me or not to you, but somehow in the mainstream, they become normalized. I think that's the right word.
Yeah.
Where they really become normalized, and we think that they're very harmful. I like the word poison. It feels that way. It feels toxic.
Right. Right. And just like the warning labels on any poisonous substances that you would ingest, there's a skull and crossbones over this topic for me of handle this with care, be aware when we're talking about them, even because we're trying to bring this topic in a middle way, because there's also times when you need refuge from the poisons or from the news or the big screen, or Nelly, like what you're talking about, that's so normalized. We need to retreat from it, take a step back. So we don't want to bring these in their full form and then, trigger ourselves or get us to the point where it's harmful in just even talking about them.
And, from my own experience, Linda, it's almost, I'm going to say an art form. I'm not sure that's really the right word, but a self-care. I really need to be careful. I think I've gone overboard here. I'm having a reaction to too much news. It's tricky though, because I want to know what's going on, because there's this other form of ignorance, which is, being unaware of what's going on. But wow, we are up against a really challenging thing personally, and of course, politically, even more so.
Yeah, the challenge, I think part of it is that something at its extreme has a kind of force to it, a draw, an energy that pulls us in or pushes us away, and that there is such a visceral sense around these poisons. That we're looking at, like, the poison of ignorance. It's painful to see. It hurts to see. And that doesn't feel normal.
I went to a presentation this past week, and it was 5, it turns out, women, it wouldn't have had to be, who had been in the Peace Corps, and they'd been in the Peace Corps, some of them, like right out of, like in their just when they were 20 or whatever, and then one went when they were 60. But that's another story. But the thing I want to say here is that they said, yeah, it was hard to adjust to. I mean, there was no WhatsApp or no way of communicating, and there was no whatever toilets, and all that stuff was hard to adjust to, the isolation. But they said the hardest thing to adjust to of all was when they came back to the United States and they basically saw the greed that compared to other countries, that was the hardest part of the whole deal for them. So
Interesting.
yeah, yeah.
it's so normalized here in
Right,
certain way, right? That's what you're getting at is
right. But when you've been away from it for
from it.
2 years and completely
Right,
away, like
right,
completely away,
right, right,
see it
right.
differently.
That's interesting in this respect that of how we project out the poisons and we don't assimilate them inside of us or take care of them and then we put them out onto others. And I feel like a lot of our news is a projection out of all these things that are happening. And it's almost I don't want to say, oh gosh, the word is like a manipulation, but there's a way that people are using it to actually feel more greed, hatred, and delusion. That is a part of this whole complex too.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at, Linda, but there certainly is more permission right now around this. There really is permission to just like, yeah, maybe if you felt hatred before you'd kind of keep it a little more quiet or just keep it with your, but
Yeah,
now it's like it's flourishing. So that being said, what we're going to be teaching to is trying to make the opposites of these stronger, maybe even flourishing.
right. Right. One more comment. I just got
Yeah.
to it. What it is. It's almost like how the advertising world has all told us what is good and what should be and the direction we go, and then you want to click more and buy more from those advertising. That's what I'm kind of getting at. This underlying um, direction that we're getting from looking at something around the poisons to do really something we're not interested in. And that's what you just brought in. We're more interested in these opposites, these antonyms, or sometimes even called antidotes, right?
Definitely, definitely, especially that goes with the poisons.
Yeah,
Um, and when we say we're more interested in, I'm going to make even a stronger statement, which was we believe that the opposites are on the spiritual path,
yeah, yeah,
that this is the path.
right.
Uh, so that's a strong statement.
Yeah.
Um,
But maybe it just starts with interest and then it goes into really being our path.
uh,
Yeah, yeah,
so we're going to
right.
teach them, but just to do a little tickler, so to speak. So we just looked at, as we do in the dictionary in the thesaurus, we like to do that. And so the a few antonyms we chose for greed are satisfaction. Wow, that's a good one, isn't it? Like when you're satisfied, you don't need more. You don't have to consume more. You can just enjoy what you have. Wow.
Interesting. Dukkha is often considered dissatisfaction.
Right.
So, yeah, interesting. That
Like,
that it takes you into pain when you're dissatisfied. It takes you into hurt and other types of suffering.
yep, yep. And then of course, an obvious antonym, this is simple to understand, is generosity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than gathering more and more and more for me, you're giving it away. And of course, generosity does lead to more satisfaction
Right.
and another word, contentment. Yeah.
Right. Right. And even bringing in the word fulfillment here. I sometimes think of how full I feel when I don't have a kind of need for greed for more. And there is a kind of already feeling fulfilled with what I have.
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
another antonym.
Right. And greed is really, yeah, there's never enough. More, more, more,
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. 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 We have a few antonyms for hatred. The first is love, something that is talked about in loving kindness and metta practice, which we talk about as friendliness. Um, but love is a large word. There's a lot there. There's a lot to explore in that one.
Right. But then another word that was in the thesaurus is affection, which maybe is a little less less on the continuum than love, just feeling an affection towards.
Yeah, yeah.
Some
And
people use
not,
the word love more loosely than others, but
yeah, yeah. Well, they feel a continuum, right? Like you're saying, love and affection. This other one of acceptance, is another one for hatred. That feels like a different range of something. And Janet's been giving talks on acceptance recently. I think there's a lot again to explore in that term and how it is an antidote or an antonym to hatred.
And the third, which covers a lot of territory, is ignorance. Covers a lot of territory.
A lot of territory. And one of the most interesting ones was that experience was given as an antonym to ignorance. So that one we have a lot more to think about and to see about with our practice being so experientially based. But really, as I'm talking, it's kind of that's the direction we want to go towards wisdom, towards awareness. And our practice leads us in that direction towards from looking at our experience.
So maybe that's a good ending, Linda.
Yeah,
We will continue on in the days to come.
great.
And I think I'm a bell ringer today.